Hello, this is my independent book club presentation from our culminating activity. My book is called Night by L. Weasel, and it's about a boy who's taken from his home during the Holocaust. So here's a brief plot summary. Placed in Europe during the Holocaust, a boy named Elzer and the Jewish people of his town are taken from their homes by the Nazis. They are put in ghettos, and him and his people are transferred to a concentration camp called Auschwitz. There, Elzer faces torture and sees the death of his family and must survive. Next. Choose and explain a quote that shows the book's setting and discuss how it impacts the book. A quote to explain the setting and how it impacts the book is when one of the guards of the concentration camp says, "Didn't you know what was in store for you at Auschwitz? Haven't you heard about it in 1944? This shows the setting is in Auschwitz in the concentration camps in Poland. The setting being in Auschwitz impacts the book because it's where all the characters are affected. This including Elzer losing his family, and it's the place where all the Jews are killed. Another way Auschwitz being the setting impacts the book is it changes Elzer to where it takes away his beliefs in his soul because he loses everyone he loves and cares about." Choose and explain a quote that reveals the character of the protagonist and how this impacts the book. A quote to reveal the character of Elzer is when Elzer says, "I had no strength. The journey had only just begun and I felt so weak." The quote introduced in the book shows how Elzer is an innocent child and how he is weak. The quote impacts the book because since Elzer is introduced to such a cruel world as an innocent child, he's overwhelmed by everything he sees with how the Nazis are and his family dying. Him being weak also affects him because he can't handle the pressure of everything happening in his life. He later changes and becomes a different person because of the Holocaust, but this is what happens at the start of the book. Choose and explain a quote that reveals the nature and the type of main conflict in the book. A quote that reveals the nature and the type of main conflict in the book is when a German officer says, "From this moment, you come under the authority of the German army." The quote reveals how the nature and the type of the main conflict in the book is man versus society. Elzer faces all the things that the Nazis could do to him, and he has to survive. That's why it's man versus society. An example of this is all the times he goes under torture and he faces the pain from the Nazis, especially when his family dies. The main conflict, as I said, is man versus society because he had to survive through everything they put on, and somehow did. Choose and explain a quote that reveals a major theme of the book and create a thematic statement that applies and explains the connection. A quote that reveals the major theme of the book is when Elzer says, "It no longer mattered. After my father's death, nothing could touch me." That quote reveals that the major theme of the book is perseverance, because after being tortured and his family dying, Elzer kept going, and he even after being freed, he kept his life going. A thematic statement for the book that connects to the theme is perseverance will prevail even in the worst of times. The thematic statement applies to the book because, as I said, Elzer's whole family died, and he still persevered through all the hardship. That is why my thematic statement applies to the book, and that's why it is that. Share with the class your personal reaction to the book. I enjoyed the book Night because it was an enlightening book and it improved my knowledge on what I already knew about the Holocaust. It was also a very descriptive book which helped me with understanding what was occurring. I would recommend this book, and I would recommend so to everyone over the age of 13 because it's a very intense and violent descriptive book which is not suitable for the people 13 and younger. I would recommend it to people above the age of 13 because it would teach them the horrors of what occurred during the Holocaust and how something like that should never happen again. It would also teach them some descriptive language that would be useful in explaining things in life. Something that stood out to me in the book was the explicit writing of what occurred to happen in Auschwitz at the concentration camps and how it was so horrible. Horrible things that happened to the Jews and other people in the camps was. My favorite part in the book was intensive writing given from L.E. Weasel and how he told everything so explicit of what happened in the camps. So it was easier for me to understand, and it would make it easier for anybody to understand. My least favorite part of the book was the horrible things that happened to the people in Auschwitz and how they had no chance to survive. A message I took from the book is that you cannot always think you're safe because it could come back to haunt you. That is the message of the book because Elzer and the other Jews felt safe with the Nazis taking over at first, but then they all ended up dying because they felt safe. The book expanded my understanding of the world because it showed me how evil mankind could treat each other for who they are and what they believe, and it also showed me how no one is perfect. I wish people also would understand how evil people can be and how this played the biggest part in the Holocaust and how it should never happen again. Thank you for listening.